Welcome to another exciting episode of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Papergoy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
I want to apologize up front. Sometimes the weather does not cooperate on shooting days. We asked for there not to be rain. Unfortunately, there's just a little bit of rain going on. At least none of it's landing on us. Do check out the warehouse tour. You'll find out why it's so loud when we're doing this over here. When you have a roof like that, it just gets loud. Nothing you can do about it. So do bear with us. Anybody new to the channel, I'm Papergoy, and I've got about 40,000 items listed between eBay and Amazon. I've got a day job, and I don't have a warehouse. I just have a house.
I'm Mr. Magazine with over 500,000 items, a large warehouse, and around 15 employees.
And a warehouse, we do know.
A very loud warehouse.
Today we're talking about processing orders, and to give a little bit of insight into how a larger seller with multiple employees does it, and how a small seller like me does it, and why we end up doing it differently. Because you could not do it my way. It just wouldn't work.
Right.
And I could do it your way, but there's really no reason to do so with my situation. And you got some of those orders behind us, I see over there.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We are ready to rock and roll.
There you go. So basically, when orders come in, I mean, they come in 24 hours a day, hopefully.
Yes.
And you've got kind of a similar process on eBay and Amazon, but it looks like it's one fewer step most of the time on eBay.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with Amazon? And my way of doing things is pretty much the same on both. So I'll start with mine. An Amazon or an eBay order comes in. I take a look at the order, and I say, where is this located at? And it's in box A14 if it's an Amazon, or it's E27 if it's an eBay, et cetera, et cetera. And I usually take about 2 items at a time, just because I can remember 2 items. Yeah. And I've only got my house, and I'm doing it all myself. And so I say, okay, I've got to find this comic book in A14 and this magazine in E37.
Right.
I go downstairs, I find them. If I don't know the weight immediately, I mean, a lot of times when you're doing this for a long time, you know the weight just from holding it.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, it's a postcard. It's under 4 ounces, whatever the case happens to be. If I don't know the weight, I weigh it up, and I say, okay, this is 11 ounces, this is 13 ounces. And this is a little insider tip to you if you're doing it the way that I do it. At least for us, for the stuff we pack, packing materials add 1.8 ounces on average. So that's
for like a magazine.
For a magazine, for something going into a bag.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you bag it, you put a backer board behind it, you put it in an envelope. That adds 1.8 ounces. So if my scale shows it weighs 11 ounces, it weighs 12.8 ounces, 13 ounces. I pay for the 13-ounce shipping. Never had any problem doing it that way. I find the items. I weigh them if needed. I print the postage out. I bring them downstairs. I pack them up, put the mailing label on them, and I'm done. That wouldn't work for you.
No, but I do have a question.
Sure.
So when you list your items, and you're the only lister,
Yep.
you put the weights in advance, don't you?
I try to be as accurate as possible, yes.
Will you still weigh them again after the fact?
If I wasn't overly accurate, because sometimes what will happen...
You don't do all of them, though. You just do some, maybe.
I only do the ones that might be questionable.
Yeah, gotcha.
And the reason why would be, and that's actually a really good question, say I've got a pile of Time magazines. Generally speaking, they're all going to be 12 ounces.
Right.
I'm going to put 12 ounces down. Occasionally, when one sells, I'll go, this might be heavier than 12 ounces, or this might be a really lighter than 12 ounces.
Yeah.
So for checking 1 out of 25 when they sell,
right,
versus changing the weight on each one, I find that works out quicker, because you can list faster just leaving it at 12 ounces.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And 90% of the time that's accurate. But once in a while again, or the other thing would be, if you sell 2 magazines and you're saying, I'm not quite sure if this can come in at 15 ounces or does it have to go flat rate priority. Yeah. In a case like that, I would weigh them up, because, I think they're 8 ounces each, but they might be a little less. It's 15 ounces. I don't have to do priority.
Sure.
So that was a very good question, but that's the reason why, because I want the quickness in listing versus weighing each one up and getting incredibly accurate on the front end. Yeah. Because it'll be accurate 90% of the time. Right. But if you tried to do that, it would never work. No. You know, you'd have your packer come by. Oh, I'm going to find these 2 items. Run off and find them. Right. Weigh them. Pack them up. And put it on.
Just bring it back to me to make the label.
Or do the label himself.
right.
Yeah, it just would not work for you.
Right.
So how do you do it?
So I print 90% of the orders from eBay and Amazon, the website, the DVD site, and then I have a assistant manager. Whatever I don't get done by the time I want to leave the warehouse in the morning, my assistant manager comes in and finishes up. So, but I'll print them all out. I'll usually do Amazon first. I can fly, even though there's 2 pages per Amazon order, I can fly through them quicker for whatever reason.
Oh, that's actually a really good point as well. You've got extra printing that I don't have because you do print, because you need to print it for somebody to find.
Correct.
And on eBay with my label, it comes up on the bottom, just default.
Right.
But I don't need that because I've already found it off my computer. So I cut out that piece of printing because I don't have to do it because I've got access to the printer.
Yeah, so I'll do Amazon. Usually I do multi-orders first, and I'll print the order sheet and then the label behind each one. Once that's done, I'll move on to eBay, and I'll do the same thing. I'll print all the multi-orders, so in case I'm behind when I get here at the warehouse, my employee, maybe he gets here and I'm not done sorting the orders out, he'll take the multis because it'll keep him busy for a while. So I'll do the eBay orders next, and then I'll sort them all out by whatever they are. If it's a records, eBay and Amazon records are in the same pile because they're coded similarly and they're in the same area. Right. So I'll do records in a pile, comic books in a pile, sports cards in a pile, magazines, multi-magazines in a pile, adult, non-adult, DVD.
Let me cut in here for a second.
Sure.
Because I just thought of this. Roughly how many items do you sell in a day? How many items do you have to print up?
For orders, on average,
yeah.
Over 200 to 250.
That's between eBay and Amazon?
Yep, and everything, yeah.
And that's not at Christmas time?
Correct.
That's during, okay. Yeah. See, and my level might be 10 to 12, maybe 8 I have to wake up to. Now, let me ask another quick question, because this is another area we do things differently.
Yep.
How often do you print orders?
Every morning.
Every morning. And I print them as the day goes through. So, for example, I'll be on my lunch break at work. If I'm working from home, I'll look in 4 items that have sold.
Yeah.
I'll find and pack those 4 on my lunch break. Yeah. Get off of work, 2 more items sold. I'll find and pack those 2 items. So I stay on top of it all during the day.
Right.
I wake up the next morning, I might have 4 Amazon and 3 eBay to pack. Yeah. So even though I might be packing 15 to 20, I'm doing them all day long, but I have the ability to do that being a one-man band. Whereas could you do it? Yes, but to what end?
There's been days where I know it's going to be heavy or something, or I'm going to have a busy morning, so I'll print some at home, or I'll print some in the afternoon at my shop if I'm bored, or just want to get some out of the way. But generally speaking, 95% of it's always done in the morning.
But I think one advantage that I have over you, I've got a number of advantages over you, and you've got a number of advantages over me. You've got the advantage that you've got employees. What that means is you can handle a lot higher volume than I can.
Right.
The advantage I have is I see all the orders, and you have to print them. And could you print them you couldn't really on eBay easily, but you could on Amazon. In fact, I used to do it when I did printing for you. When you didn't have a lot of orders, I would go through and, okay, I'm going to print all the records.
Right.
Now I'm going to try to print the toys. Now I'm going to try to print the magazines. But if you get into 75, 80 orders, it's
too much scrolling,
too difficult to do.
I do that with the multis just because there might only be 10 multi orders, and I print them out quickly. Then I just go to everything else right down the road.
And you used to do, and I don't know if you still do, you used to print the priorities separately as well.
Yeah, that I don't anymore. I just do it as I see them. And there's usually not very many, more so Christmas season, but not too many.
Well, let me ask another quick question. Has Amazon changed things? Because in the past, you could ship something priority out first class. Can you still do that, or does it force you to print it out priority now?
I think you have to do priority.
Okay.
That's what I've seen. Yeah.
Back in the old days, you could accidentally, and that was one of the reasons why we printed those out first, was because, oh my gosh, this guy paid for priority, we printed out first class because you didn't notice it.
Yeah, sometimes you're just forced to do priority, even if it's supposed to go first class or whatever. It might be a glitch or a media mail, and you still have to print priority. So usually I do it if I lose a couple bucks, but if it's something large, I'll just do it on stamps.
Unless they pay for the priority.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the advantage that I have on the orders is I can take a look at my eBay orders and I can say, hey, those 2, the first item that I sold and the 6th item that I sold and need to pack, are both in the same box.
Right.
I'm going to go down and find both of those.
Yeah.
And I find those 2 and I come upstairs and do it and print it out and everything. And do I do a lot of extra running around back and forth? Yes, I do. But I also have the luxury of doing that. Could I print out the sheet of the orders. Sometimes I do it. If there's a lot of orders, I will literally print the sheet out
Right.
and say, oh, I've got to find this, I got to find this, I got to find this. But for whatever reason, I like to leisurely kind of do it as far as that.
Sure.
But I'm paying myself. I can do
Right,
that. You
yeah.
don't want your employees leisurely doing things.
No, definitely not leisurely. Efficiently, not leisurely.
Right, right. So the other times, now there are times on eBay where you have to print out a second sheet as opposed to
Yes,
just
if
the...
it's international, or if it's, I mean, I don't have to, but then I have to memorize what the item is. So.
That's not going to work too
Plus, I like that they shows a picture. I'll print out a picture of the item, so then they can't make a mistake pulling the wrong item, and then I paid $30 to ship it out. So I do like that feature. So we'll print the order, the picture, the order sheet of what the item is, then the label, or if it's a sports card and it's going in the envelope, we do the same thing with that, because if you print it out, it won't tell you what it is. So those are the two factors there.
Well, another reason why, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm realizing I am being tremendously inefficient when I do my packing.
Yes.
But another reason why I do it at the leisurely pace that I do it as well is because I do something that you don't do, and that is
Talk a lot? Talk loudly. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I fill in boxes.
Okay.
You don't.
Right.
So that does help me doing it the way that I do it, because I might sit there and say, let me see this over here. Especially on a weekend, I tend to do
Yeah.
this. I'll sit there and I'll say, okay, I got to find this magazine over here in
Right.
box M17, and I go in the basement and I find it. And I go, hey, there's a lot of room in M17.
Yeah.
I've got all day to print orders. Let me list 6 items right now, and I'll put them into M17.
Right.
And so I kind of commingle, because I'm wearing all the hats.
Yeah.
So
We actually do that now on a rare occasion with my assistant manager. If we get the sports cards in the boxes form, we might have boxes labeled whatever the blaster is or the mega. And then if we get more within a few days or a week and it's still within range of the box, we'll add to that one. So we're not creating more boxes.
yeah. So I guess even though I'm being inefficient, it also is helping me fill things in. So in other
Right.
words, I do find the M17, I pack it up, I list 6 items for M17,
Sure.
I bring them in the basement, and I put them in M17,
Yeah.
and then I'm on to, I need to find something in C8. Hey, there's a
Yeah.
lot of space in C8. Let me list 6 digests right now
Right.
and fill them in,
Yeah.
because otherwise I wouldn't ever fill them in.
Exactly.
And even though your warehouse is starting to burst at the seams, my house definitely is bursting at the seams, as
Right.
you can definitely acknowledge
Sure.
for the
Oh,
times
yeah.
that you come by.
Well, it's funny because we've been doing some organizing at my shop, and 10 years ago, 12 years or whatever, we had no warehouse. We had the shop, the garage, big garage at the shop. We might have used the room upstairs, and I'm going back to now, and like we're bursting at the seams there with inventory that we could be listing. I mean, it's crazy, but I guess it's a good thing. But inventory everywhere.
No, that is true, and I guess the whole key is try to get it listed as best
Right.
you can, but you keep finding new things, and that's half the fun of it, and you never know exactly what you're going to find as well.
Right, sure.
Anything else you wanted to add? So you've got 3 people involved, generally speaking. You've got you printing the orders.
Yep.
You've got the person finding the orders, and
Yeah.
you've got the person packing the orders.
Right.
So that adds.
And the process is really more to that, because like I said, I'll break them down into vinyl, single mags, and so forth. Then I'll distribute them to the employees that I feel are better at pulling those items. They have more experience. But then what they do is they break them down further. So if you got a pile of 28 records to find, say there's 14 Amazon, 14 eBay, they break them down into the oldest to the newest. So when they're pulling, they can be efficient as they're walking down the rows in order and pulling in order, instead of, okay, I'm over in this area, now I got to walk 150 feet down there to get another record. They're just going, in formation all the way down the aisle. So
Now, do you teach them that, or did they?
no, we did. Oh well, at first, when we first moved here, we were kind of all over the place, and it wasn't as large as it is now as far as inventory. So you didn't have to walk as far. Or at the smaller warehouses, they didn't have to go as far. But once we got here, we're like, hey, we got to do this right. We got to do it in order. And then now everyone's taught to do it that way.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you a little bit. Like I said, I have come to the realization from these videos help us, let alone help. Hopefully they help you. They help me. I realize I am inefficient, and what I may do in the future, when I do have, again, if I've only got 3 orders, it's no big deal.
Right.
But if I have a busy day where I've got 12 orders, something rather like that,
Yeah.
on eBay, it's a lot easier to do on eBay because I use the custom SKU.
Right.
So it shows up on my order page with the custom SKU.
Yeah.
Amazon, I'd have to click on each item in order to do it. Now, what I've done on Amazon, if I have a lot of orders, because I do store stuff in the attic, if I end up with 5 orders in the attic, I do print the sheet because I don't mind running down into the basement back and forth because that's where I do the packing at, and I have to go down there anyway.
Yeah.
I don't really want to climb up. I've got a rickety old stair, one of those pull-down stairs. We're going to do a tour at some point of the house, but I've got the pull-down stairs to climb up into the attic. I can't stand upright in the attic, so I'm crawling around up there anyway. I'd rather just make one trip rather than 7 trips up to the attic. So what I'll do in that case is I will print out the Amazon sheet that shows what the orders are, and then I'll click on each one because that's where you have to go to figure out what box it's in, and I'll write, V4, M6, AM14, AM16, AM22, and bring that sheet up, and then I'll follow off of that. So I'm only making one trip to the attic. So I guess the lesson I've learned is if you make things very, very difficult on yourself, you end up being a lot more efficient because you don't want to crawl around in a nasty old attic in the middle of summertime.
Yeah, just put it all in order. That's it.
There you go. So hopefully that helps you some. Do hit the like button. Do note down below, A, if you learn anything off of this, B, if you have any tips for either of us, or C, if you've got a different process that you think might help us or would help other people that are reading it. We definitely would appreciate it. And I think I'm going to try to be more efficient. Maybe that's one of my goals for 2021.
Sounds good.
Or 2022. We're almost done with 2021, aren't we?
Exactly.
Do tune into our live show because I do know it's every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And I also know that we're going to be doing a live show with goals for 2022 sometime closer to the end of the year. Nice. So we definitely want to hear all of your goals as well. And maybe mine will be efficient and shut up.
Exactly.
Although, that'll be a fun show.
We're never going to achieve that one.
Yeah, imagine everybody out there better hope we don't achieve that one.
That's right.
We'll see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.